So, if you're a new parent, chances are you've heard this word floating around, Montessori. On one hand, it sounds amazing. You hear about these confident, independent little kids. But on the other hand, let's be real, it can also sound kind of confusing. So, let's jump in and get some actual clear answers.
Because when you really boil it all down, there's only one question that truly matters. This investment of your money, your time, and your hope for your child, is it actually worth it? That's the big question we're going to tackle today.
I mean, you see those pictures, right? The beautiful, calm classrooms, the kids looking so focused. You hear the stories about incredible results, but at the exact same time, you've got these completely valid, practical questions spinning around in your head. And you know what? We totally get it. In fact, I'm willing to bet your worries sound a little something like this. Is it just a total free-for-all in there? Is my kid actually going to be ready for kindergarten? Is this really the right fit for my child with their unique personality? And seriously, what am I getting for that tuition check? These are exactly the right questions you should be asking. So let's find some straightforward answers for you for each one of those questions. And we're going to start at the very beginning with what Montessori sees as the absolute foundation for all learning, the one thing that has to come before anything else.
And that foundation, well, it isn't about flashcards or being the first to read. It's confidence. The whole philosophy is built on this idea that before any kid can tackle complex schoolwork, they first have to believe in their own power to figure things out for themselves.
So how is that confidence built? It's not through a bunch of empty praise, like, good job, good job. It's built through real, tangible successes. The entire classroom is designed for a child to be independent, from the tiny pitchers they can actually lift to the low shelves they can reach. They pour their own water, they put on their own coat, they choose what they want to work on, all without having to ask an adult for help.
And the real magic is the message that sends to their brain. Every single time a child pulls off one of these tasks all by themselves, this little voice inside gets stronger and stronger. The voice that says, I can do it. This isn't confidence that someone hands to them. It's the real deal. Confidence they've earned all on their own.
Now imagine all of this happening inside this uniquely calm and predictable room. The effect of that piece is just profound. With no loud chaos or constant interruptions, a child's brain literally gets the space to develop longer concentration spans, better self-control, and a stronger executive function. You know, the skills that are critical for success not just in school, but in pretty much all of life.
Okay, so the kids are confident, they're focused, that's fantastic. But what about the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s? This is where a lot of parents start to get nervous. Well, the Montessori path to academics is really different from what you might be used to, because it's all about deep understanding before you even think about memorizing anything.
This chart shows the difference perfectly. Let's take math. In a typical school, a kid might learn to just memorize what the symbol 4 looks like. In Montessori, long before they even see the symbol, they hold 4 actual physical beads in their hand. They feel the weight of a number rod that represents 4. They get the quantity of 4 first. It's the huge difference between learning what something is and truly understanding why it is.
And here's the long-term payoff for that. Because they have this deep, concrete understanding right from the start, they develop much stronger logical thinking. They become better problem solvers. And then, when they get to more abstract math later on, they tend to get it much faster, just because that foundation is so incredibly solid.
Okay, so now let's get personal, because you might be thinking, this all sounds great, but my child is so shy. Or, on the other end of the spectrum, my child never, ever stops moving. So, will this system actually work for them? It's time to tackle those very specific, very personal worries.
First off, let's just bust the biggest myth out there. When people hear the phrase child-led learning, they often picture total and complete chaos. You know, kids running around, doing whatever they want all day. But is that what's really going on?
Not even close. The guiding principle is this brilliant idea called freedom within limits. It's a balance. The child has the freedom to choose their own work, absolutely. But that freedom exists inside of a very carefully structured environment that's built on a foundation of respect. So what are these limits? Well, they're basically the fundamental rules of being part of a decent community. You treat other people with kindness. You handle the learning materials with respect. You clean up your own mess. You follow the routines of the classroom. This is how kids learn real responsibility and self-regulation. It's the opposite of chaos.
And because of this amazing structure, the environment just works wonders for all kinds of personalities. That quiet, predictable space helps a shy child feel safe enough to really blossom. For a super active kid, the freedom to move their body and choose physical tasks is a total game changer. And for a sensitive child, that peaceful, respectful tone of the room just helps reduce that feeling of being overwhelmed.
Which brings us right back around to that big question of cost. It really helps to reframe it, not as just another school fee, but as a genuine investment. So if it's an investment, what's the actual return? What are you really paying for?
This is it. This is your return on investment. It's a checklist of essential life skills. Real independence. Deep, earned confidence. Social skills that are actually built on grace and courtesy. That almost superpower of deep concentration. And yep, on top of all that, you get the solid academic foundations paired with high emotional intelligence. You just can't get this package from an app or a new toy.
All right, let's talk about the final hurdle, the ultimate question for so many of us parents. After all this, will my child be ready for what comes next? Will they be prepared for a traditional kindergarten and everything that comes after?
The answer is a huge, resounding yes. Montessori kids typically transition not just with strong academic foundations in reading and math, but they also have this incredible toolkit of personal skills. They're highly independent, they're emotionally mature, and they have a genuine respect for their teachers and their friends.
And here's the real proof. When these kids walk into a traditional classroom, the teachers don't just see them as being advanced. They see them as the leaders. They're the helpers. They're the problem solvers. They're the kids who can manage their own stuff and then turn to a friend and ask, "Hey, do you need a hand with that?"
And that really gets to the very heart of all of this, because if you take just one single thing away from this, let it be this. The goal of this entire method isn't just to get your kid ahead or to make them the first one in the class to read.
It's about respecting a child's unique journey so they can become the person they are truly meant to be, a curious, confident, and joyful human being who actually loves to learn. And that is the real return on this investment, and it's one that lasts a lifetime.